because I'm wearing my pink hair, which, oh hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, Season 1, Episode 4, and all I have to say is, Jorge, drink me. Ooh, what is this? It's very colorful. This is gin, it's not gin. Oh, all right. We're going to have a classic G&T today for all you Brits out there, but we're going to do it new way. This is Empress Gin. If you've never heard of it, I'm not even sure where you can buy it. You buy it in Canada. I'm sure you can buy it almost anywhere good gin is. But why is it blue, you say? Why is the gin blue? When in the world has gin been blue? Well, it's been blue since Empress has been adding butterfly pea flower extract to their gin. Butterfly pea flower is a little purple flower that is used in Thai desserts. It makes things blue, but it has some interesting properties too, because if you add citrus to it, it goes pink. So a classic G&T now becomes, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. It's magic. It matches my hair now, Jorge. Thank you so much. Just give it a stir, because that was a lot of gin, I'm just saying. Yep, that was a lot of gin. All right, so let's get to it. Well, we kicked this week off by saying goodbye to Vinegar Strokes. And short of STW, I don't think a lot of tears were really shed for Vinny. I mean, Baga, although she loved her, said that the right queen went home. And you know what? I don't think she's wrong. And Viv was very quick to point out that there were only 7 girls left, so they'd all better step it up, is all I'm saying. Seriously. Davina DeCampo didn't seem to be too worried about the dwindling numbers because she was basking in the warmth of her first win. Although, the way Crystal was going on about how helpful Davina was leading up to the runway last week, you'd think that DDC was bucking for Miss Congeniality instead of Britain's next drag superstar. Although, Davina did explain to the girls that when she's helpful, she's not threatened by you. It's when she's silent that you gotta watch out. I'm just saying. Silent Assassin, Ultimate Puppet Master, Miss Congeniality. I think these are all titles that Davina will have no trouble pinning on her chest. I'm just saying. Sensing a shift in the room, Cheryl asked the other girls if they were going to continue to play nice or if it was time for the claws to come out for the rest of the competition. All I have to say is, from what Viv was saying about her devil horns, I wouldn't want to get in the way of the Vivian in that crown. Just saying. So, the next day in the workroom, DDC was still riding a high from her first win on RuPaul's Drag Race UK, and she proved it by sporting her Ru Peter badge. This is why I think everyone's changed their sights and started to pick on Cheryl. God bless her. Would this be the week that Cheryl could break the curse of being in the bottom 3? I'm so serious. Cheryl felt she was on an upward trajectory with her mini challenge win last week, but Baga was very quick to point out to her that mini challenges don't win you Ru Peter badges, ducky. But before the queens could get too far into who needed to step what up and why, there was Ru with this week's main challenge, Snatch Game! OMG. Now, first of all, I just need to say, very excited for Snatch Game. I always am. But I'm also excited for this one because I knew in my heart there were going to be some people that these queens were going to impersonate that nobody would know. So this is a perfect example of making something funny. If I don't know who you are or who you're portraying, then just be entertaining. And I'll tell you, some of these girls were entertaining and some of these girls were not. Right away, there was drama in the workroom when it was revealed that DDC and Baga had planned to impersonate the same person. First, Baga said the ladies not for turning, then DDC said the ladies not for turning, and then it looked like things were going to take a turn for the worst. I'm so serious. You know, I can't believe that Baga said she only brought one character. She does a lot of characters. Even in her bio, she said that she could do Julie Goodyear from Coronation Street. But she seemed to think that Maggie was the way to go, and that was it. And personally, I think that her saying she had no other costumes was her way of saying I'm not changing. I'm just not. You change. And I have to say, I'm so sorry that DDC backed down. First of all, I would have loved to have seen DDC do Margaret Thatcher. But secondly, it seemed to me right away that once Baga said, well, let's both do them and see who does it best, it gave Davina pause. Because, no offense to Davina, but I think that Baga has a bigger reputation for being off the cuff and a bigger personality and funny without even meaning to be. If I had been Davina, I would have been a little worried to go up against Baga, of all people, doing the same impersonation. I'm just saying. Not only did DDC crumple like a linen suit, but she also gave Baga her Margaret Thatcher outfit to wear. Seriously, DDC, it's like you didn't just win a repeater badge. Seriously. As for the rest of the queens, it seemed to be easy pickings for their celebrity impersonations. Well, except for maybe STW, who had two characters to choose from. Thank God Ru showed up in the workroom to check on the girls' progress. And extra special, thank God, that she brought Alan Carr. So funny. I love him. Blue told them that she had decided to do Mary Berry from the Great British Bake Off. If you don't know who Mary Berry is, she's the quintessential granny. She's a skinny little bird of a thing, couldn't weigh 10 pounds soaking wet. And when she is soaking wet, it's usually gin. But she is just a sweetie, a sweetheart. And not a hump on her, I'm just saying. So, it was interesting to see Ru and Alan react to not only Blue's choice, but how she seemed to be thinking that she would be portraying her. Having kissed Maggie Thatcher goodbye, DDC now seemed to be down to two choices. She wanted to do either Julia Child or Posh Spice. Now, I just need to say Posh Spice is a hard person to do because she has no personality, no offense. But Julia Child, I was very excited that she was going to do her because, I mean, seriously, the only other person who's ever done her was Milk, and even today I still feel that Milk didn't do Julia Child. Crystal told Ru and Alan that she was going to do Blanche Devereaux from the Golden Girls. Now, here's the problem. Blanche Devereaux is a character on a show. That's intellectual property. These queens can't do impersonations of intellectual property. They have to do impersonations of the actor portraying that property. So it always makes these impressions harder because Rue McClanahan on her own is Rue McClanahan. She could be anybody. I mean, one of the people she was Blanche Devereaux. And it always seems to throw people off. So now here's Crystal having to be Blanche Devereaux, a.k.a. Rue McClanahan. It just sets her up for all these other problems. And on top of that, the problem we have with some of these sitcom characters is they're only funny within a sitcom because they were written that way. Unless you are a brilliant actor and just a beyond perfect improviser, these are very hard people to make real in a situation because we're so identified with them. So I was worried for Crystal right out of the gate. And I feel kind of Alan and Ru were too. Truth be told, I think that Alan was a little more worried about people not ever having heard of a tit shrug before. I mean, that's probably why he kept doing it, so it would catch on. Tit shrug, tit shrug. I would like to say I've heard tit shrug because it was my drag queen name in high school. The one queen who didn't seem to be at a loss for somebody to impersonate was the Vivienne. She had three choices. She had Kim Woodburn, which I was expecting because she's been impersonating her since the get-go. She also had 60s pop star and one of the hardest working women in British television, Cilla Black. But the one character impersonation that she had that I was absolutely excited for was her Donald Trump. Especially after she gave Ru a amuse-bouche of it by just dropping her impersonation in front of her. It was uncanny how much she sounded like him. And I, for one, was looking forward to this character being in a Snatch Game, seriously. Which sadly brings us to STW. She had two choices, none of which I like. David Attenborough. Now, she could have gone along the Blue line with David Attenborough the way Blue did with Mary Berry and make him just some gutter pig. But no, she played him honestly. But her other choice was Nigella Lawson, who could have been very, very funny with all her sexual innuendo. But again, I feel on some level that Blue's instigation for talking her out of it was so that she wouldn't have to compete with it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's what I thought. Exactly. But in the end, something Wong did something Wong and picked David Attenborough for the Snatch Game. Bless. And then it was on to the Snatch Game with our celebrity contestants, the queen of morning television, Lorraine Kelly, and investigative reporter, Stacey Dooley. It's okay. I haven't heard of these two either. Okay, so let's talk about the Snatch Game. I was worried out of the gate, I won't lie. But this has got to be one of the best Snatch Games ever. It's right up there with Season 5 with Jinx Monsoon, or Season 7 with Ginger Minge and Kennedy Davenport as Little Richard and Adele. This was right up there. I was so impressed, not only with the Vivian and Bagga, who clearly stole that show. If the other girls had never said anything, it still would have been a brilliant Snatch Game. I'm just saying. But there were the other girls did a good job. Like, first of all, Davina DeCampo, right out of the gate, when she was like, I'm serving fish, I thought, oh my God, she's going to be so funny as Julia Child, because I thought she was going to do her like that. But I feel like maybe Bagga's performance as Maggie Thatcher cowed her a little and kept her from really, like, being bigger than she could have been. Cheryl did an excellent job, although I have no idea who Gemma Collins is. She is from a show which is called The Only Way is Essex, which is basically Jersey Shore in Britain. If that gives you any idea. They call it Towie because that's its initial, T-O-W-I-E. And Gemma was famous for 5 Hot Seconds globally, when at an award show she was handing out an award and they'd open a trap door in the stage and she fell through it. So if you remember that meme, that's Gemma Collins. So I'm not sure if Cheryl did a great impersonation of her, but Cheryl was hilarious while she was doing it. And that is one of the only rules of the Snatch Game. I'm just saying. Somebody else who just shocked the pants right off me was Blue. She was so filthy as Mary Berry. It was very funny. I mean, she didn't even look like her. And for those of you who are wondering what she was doing with her hand, poor Mary Berry's very arthritic. She has very arthritic hands. And so there was nothing about that impersonation that, except for the name tag in front of Blue, that said that was Mary Berry. I certainly wouldn't have picked that character out of a lineup. I'm so serious. I have to say, STW's David Attenborough wasn't awful, just wasn't funny. I thought she did a great voice. I thought she kept in character, although there wasn't much to keep in character for. And I do have to say, I think the worst person on that panel, unfortunately, was Crystal as Rue McClanahan as Blanche Devereaux. It just wasn't, as Michelle said, she didn't even have a Southern accent for most of it. God bless. But the undisputed stars of this Snatch Game were, of course, the Viv's Donald Trump and Bagga Chip's Maggie Thatcher. I mean, the way Bagga played Maggie Thatcher with those red contacts in her eyes and that look she gave her every time she looked at her, it was so funny. And then in her lines, the things she said, just so quick, so clever. But the only thing better than her Margaret Thatcher was the Vivian's Donald Trump. It was spooky how much. I actually forgot it was the Vivian at one point doing that impersonation. It just was so good. She looked like him. She sounded like him. She moved like him. It was absolutely a flawless performance that was only enhanced by Bagga's Maggie T. Just saying. So, with the Snatch Game behind them, the girls got ready for the runway. And I have to say, I was so shocked to hear Blue say that gay marriage is still illegal in Northern Ireland. I mean, now let's be honest, there's lots of places in the world where gay marriage is still illegal. But, I mean, someplace like Britain, I mean, Canada was the 4th country to pass gay marriage, and they did that in 2005, I'm just saying. Clearly, some of us are living a very good life, and I feel somehow that we should be doing more to make sure that others do as well, especially Northern Ireland. Come on, people. I really like Davina's comment, though, about that party in Northern Ireland who says that gay marriage goes against their beliefs. Well, your beliefs are beliefs, but my life is the reality. Forget Margaret Thatcher, DTC for Prime Minister. I'm so serious. And then it was on to the runway, and there was RuPaul in another spectacular gown and gorgeous head of hair. Also gorgeous, Michelle Visage, who was giving me a little bit of retina damage with all that eye bling that she had going on. I'm so serious. Of course, chatty man Alan Carr survived his visit to the workroom and returned to judge the judgeable once again. And joining the judges on the panel, the one, the only, the original Ginger Spice herself, Jerry Horner, née Halliwell, Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. By the way, that's Ru saying Spice Girls with a Scottish accent. If you look it online, they say if you want to say Spice Girls with a Scottish accent, say Space Ghettos. Spice Girls. I don't know. I'm Scottish by heritage, and most everything they say sounds like they're clearing their throat, so I don't know. But before Ru could give us all a diction lesson, you heard me, it was time for the girls to hit the runway. And this week's theme was Weird Science, genetically modified queens. First up, Blue Hydrangea. And can I just say, this was my favorite outfit for the runway this week. I just thought that was, I can't believe she painted a whole eye on her head. It was so well done. I didn't realize that's what she'd done until her eyes opened. And then I realized how much work she put into it. I wish she had put a little more work into that poncho part of the costume, though. It just looked too much like a square. I wish she'd cut maybe an arm in it or given it a bit more of a different shape than square. But still, one of my faves. Next up was Bag of Chips, who didn't look so much modified as masqueraded. Do you know what I'm saying? All I have to say about her runway look is it's a good thing she killed that Snatch Game. Seriously. Cheryl was next down the runway, and the best part about her runway, besides her signature walk, which I am totally loving, was that geometric side pony. I want to get me one of those. I love the idea of STW's outfit, but I agree with Michelle. It was too simple. That onesie didn't fit. I wish that she, to show modification, had maybe had a different colored tight on one leg to make it look like a different leg. Maybe if she'd had one arm that was a little more mechanical and ended in that tray that she was carrying the medical stuff in, that would have maybe sold the look a bit more. But even if she had done all that, it would have been for naught, because nothing could have modified that performance in Snatch Game. Seriously. Davina De Campo looked like a one-woman Cirque du Soleil. I thought that costume was so gorgeous, even with its wonky tits. I'm just saying. Crystal pulled out all the stops for her runway, or at the very least, tried to grind them all away. I have to say, I really liked her runway performance, but again, she was another one who was held back by her lackluster Snatch Game, I'm just saying. Someone who needed no saving from her snatch was the Vivian, and she still pulled out all the stops for her runway. I still didn't understand what it was, but prosthetic or no, she really showed the judges what she's all about, which is more is more. Well, right away it was announced that Blue was safe, and so she should be. Her Mary Berry was so unexpectedly hilarious that she could have gone down naked on that runway and still have been safe. I'm just super glad she didn't. And surprise, surprise, breaking the curse of the bottom three, Cheryl Hole. Sweet beats. No one was more surprised to be mediocre than her. A concern that DDC seemed to take with her backstage, because she kind of lost her cool with Baga for talking over her. But I have to say, I agree with Baga. If you want to be heard, make some noise. Seriously. Either way, it was very clear that STW was going to be in the bottom, but it was just a question as to who would be joining her, DDC or Crystal. Seriously. So, when the queens returned to the runway, it was no surprise to anyone that Viv and Baga were in the top. But what was a huge surprise was that they tied for the win. Repeater badges for everyone. Well, just those two, just those two. I mean, seriously, talk about history being made. A tie win on the first ever Snatch Game of RuPaul's UK. Seriously, here's to you girls. Well done, I'm so serious. And much to DDC's relief, it was Crystal who landed in the bottom with STW. I'm so serious. Now, let me say this about this lip sync. I was absolutely surprised at how good STW was. She danced every move like she was in the video. Her lip sync was great. I was really impressed. I didn't expect her to move around like that. I thought she did a good job. But, unfortunately, I could not take my eyes off Crystal. She looked fantastic. Those contacts with the prosthetics, even that onesie that she was wearing, YU excise. I didn't even know what it meant. Excise is a tax. So I'm assuming that she wore that jumpsuit as a political statement sometime, or was in a show against a tax being levied in Britain, and that was her political contribution to it. Either way, I couldn't take my eyes off Crystal. So when the music faded, it was no surprise to me that Crystal, Shantae, and lovely, sweet STW sashayed away, but not before Ginger Spice herself paid her an unexpected visit in the workroom to bid her a fond farewell. What a sweetheart. And I just thought it was such a touching moment, because I don't know how I would react if Ginger Spice showed up to say goodbye to me. Oh, well, I'd be upset if she did, quite frankly. But that's just me. So, now we're down to 6 girls. Who do you think's going to go next? I'm rooting for Cheryl not to be in the bottom next week. But, short of DDC, who's been bobbing, no one has been expecting Blue to do as well as she has. Maybe that'll continue in next week's episode. We'll just have to tune in next week and find out. And when you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Until next week, miss me! Seriously, Jorge. It's not all